Super. BS.
Well, we are back. I know my voice may sound different. I promise you guys, I'm Josh Jank Peterson, the despised one. No, it's I, lovable baby boy Brank, and I'm joined by who am I joined by today?
This is Gerald Glassford. How is everyone doing? I'm happy holidays to you out there.
Appreciate it. Happy holidays to you too. Yeah, we've been missing your sultry voice. Okay, we needed it for this because we got to talk about the Game Awards. This is what we're going to be going on and on about. If we get a chance to talk about some Christmas memories, maybe throwing some indie over there.
You can find my sultry voice all over the internet, Brank. Don't even tell me that.
Oh, we've been wanting to hear it. We've been missing it. Okay, everybody's been like, "Where can I hear his voice? Where can I find Pop Culture Cosmos?" Don't even dare Google it, or else you might find it. Seek and you shall find. Anyways, before we get to a run of every single super sweet thing, did you get a chance to watch the Game Awards?
I did. It was, and I know Josh and I talked a little bit about it on the Cosmos, but wanted to save most of the conversation for this show.
Okay.
It was structured okay. It's better. Still, they need to cut it down from 3.5 hours. But I understand he's in a money-making opportunity and wants to go ahead and cut all the extra stuff as far as announcing winners and whatnot. God forbid you would want to go ahead and announce best RPG and give them time to go ahead up there at the podium and, thank everyone. Instead, you want to put more commercials and videos and trailers that you got paid an obscene amount of money for. But other than that, I think it was okay. The announcements to me were underwhelming. But for the most part, there was a couple good ones for me. But outside of that, yeah, it was 3.5 hours of background music for me.
Well, this is going to be a good discussion because if you're cold, I'm hot, man. This is honestly, this is the best Game Awards I feel like I've seen in a long time.
Really?
And that's a lot of that's because the previous Game Awards, they cut out the speeches. I don't know if you remember last year, the big drama was they only let people talk for like 30 seconds or something. Yes. They've always done a very bad job of letting the winners go up. They never let all of them. They normally just do a barrage of like best whatever. They only let like maybe 5 or 6 people talk, right? Normally the actor, director, a few of the other ones. But for me, it was some of the announcements, which we'll dive through. I don't want to like spoil them. We'll go through it kind of sequentially. We'll skip a lot of like the fluff because there is a lot of extra stuff that they make some sweet money on. But my goodness, man, there were some games that I did not expect from my childhood that I am like blown away that I absolutely love. But again, it was a Game Awards that spoke to me in something like only the Microsoft showcases have done recently, where it's like, whoa, I can't believe they're doing this. This was That's like good. One of my favorite things. So, yeah, let's kick it off. So before the show started, they announced something called Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Did you get a chance to see that?
I did. A return to the world of Ninja Gaiden, which I know many people were clamoring for.
Yeah, I'm curious what people are going to think because it is a 2D game from the people who made Blasphemous, but it's not the 3D Ninja Gaidens that we got from the original Xbox, which is what a lot of people loved, right? Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 on 360, and then on PS3 and now on everything. But yeah, I'm curious. I love, I've really enjoyed a lot of the 2D Ninja Gaiden likes, I should say, like The Messenger. Did you ever play that indie game from maybe 2 years back?
No, I didn't, but I'm just going to say this when it comes to what we saw as far as throwbacks, games that were announced that were either sequels to games of long ago, or homages to, like you said, Ninja Gaiden. I think when it comes down to it, these studios found ways to economically provide those fans with a new version or a sequel to those much beloved games. I mean, these studios, I think, as far as the publishers themselves, are telling these studios, if you can find a realistic budget to release it at, then we'll go ahead with it. And I think, we like 2 or 3 of these announcements of, sequels or homages, like we're seeing with Ninja Gaiden here in this case. I think they found a happy medium, and that's probably why they went to the direction they did on exactly the style of gameplay that you're seeing.
Yeah, it's a lower budget. It's a lower cost, right? Like they will probably not see a huge return on a Ninja Gaiden 2D revisit, whatever. I can't even remember the last time a Ninja Gaiden 2D game came out that was new. So, I mean, this is at least 20 years ago, probably even way longer, because 20 years ago, I want to say is when Ninja Gaiden Black came out, and that was probably even 23 years ago. So, yeah, this is I think that's what surprised me the most about this Game Awards was that, like, seeing these, like you said, the homages, the late sequels, the things that we didn't expect. The Ninja Gaiden Ragebound I just thought was a perfect, like, kickoff to a show where you're just like, oh, they're going for like a very, it reminded me a lot of the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown game that came out earlier this year. We hadn't seen a 2D Prince of Persia in a long time, and they came out with something that
really solid game, by the way.
Yeah, yes, I've only played a little bit of it, but I definitely enjoyed it. They have a couple other games. I'm going to read them off just in case you have an interest in talking about them. These ones didn't do much for me, but they had One Move Away, which was like a first-person moving game. This is all in the pre-show, by the way. They had Slay the Spire 2. Did you play that?
No, I didn't play the original one, but I did see the announcement of it. It did move the needle for me.
Yeah, it's not something that's super interesting to me. I spoke about this next one on the podcast when I played it last year. Dave the Diver. They're making, like, I can't tell if it's a sequel or just an expansion, but it's called Dave the Diver in the Jungle. So
I think it seemed like it was an expansion to me. I could be wrong.
It's really hard to know because they're actually, like, not an indie team. Like, that was the big if you remember, that was the big drama from last year, is they were in the best indie, even though they were from like a AAA Korean company. Yes. So for all we know, it's a sequel. They have the money where they could probably pump out a full sequel in a year. But I'll probably be interested in checking that out. I do like the game. I just didn't finish it. It's a really, really long indie game with tons of different mechanics, from the sushi shop to the going underwater to spearfish to, like, there's just tons of pieces to it.
It got very strong ratings when it came out last year.
Yeah. Incredible game. And now it's on everything. So there's kind of like no excuse for people not to play it. After that, they had a couple other ones. They have like a game called Thick as Thieves by Warren Spector. I don't think any of us will play that because it looked like it was a PvP or PvPvE game. Then they had the really silly looking Pac-Man game, Shadow Labyrinth. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that I'll just say this. I wanted to discuss it with Josh. We were talking about on the Cosmos before the announcement came out, because I had seen Secret Level.
Yeah.
The first 8 episodes. And I said, there's some good, there's some not so good. And then there's a WTF episode. And the WTF episode was the Pac-Man episode. I thought it was absolutely one of the worst things I've seen all year.
Really?
And I found out the next day after we recorded that show, they're making a game out of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's why, because it was totally different from what anything we've ever seen in the Pac-Man universe. But I still don't think it's good. I still, it still doesn't make an excuse. I thought it was still horrible, that episode. And for me, it just brought the weight of the actual series down as a whole for me. And they're making a game out of it. Good luck.
Yeah, I tried watching a little bit of Secret Levels. I didn't get joined last week's episode to talk with you guys about it. I only watched probably half of the Dungeons and Dragons episode. It seems okay. It's definitely kind of like, Love, Death, and Robots, where I don't know if it's for me, but it's
not every episode is going to be to everyone's taste. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, because it feels like it's. Did you ever watch the Animatrix from the early 2000s?
I did.
It was very like style over substance was what the Animatrix was. That's what Love, Death, and Robots is, and this.
But there were a couple of good episodes in the Animatrix.
There were some great episodes, but there was a lot of just like there's like that episode where like visually it's interesting from the Japanese director, where the kid, I think it's called The Kid, and he's just running and then he like leaps or whatever. Yeah. There's like stuff like that where you're like, okay, well there's really nothing here. There's like just some weird like sub story for 20 minutes. But anyways, enough about our favorite compilation. We always talk about Animatrix. Did you ever play a game called Sifu that released, I want to say 2 years ago?
I did just a little bit. Yes.
It's on Game Pass now.
Yes, it is. And it is one of the episodes one of the better episodes in Secret Level as well.
Nice. I didn't know they had an episode for it. I want to see that episode. Well, anyways, they announced a new game called Rematch, which is it looks like a soccer game. Like it looks like an arcade soccer
totally
style.
different from what they've done. It's and
Yeah.
that was a nice surprise. I don't know if I'll get into it, but
same.
Speaking of Kung Fu, there was a game coming up that I did like, which was my overall best of the VGAs, which I think you'll talk about here in a little bit.
I can't wait to talk about that. Yeah, because I'm very curious, but I don't want to spoil this for the listeners. So the pregame show or the pre-game awards show,
pre-Jeff show
ended with Solasta 2, which is like a D&D like Baldur's Gate 3 style riff game. It looked neat. I'll probably never play it. Did you ever play or finish or whatever Baldur's Gate 3?
No, not yet. Yes. I want to at some point in time, but again, like Josh always says, it's about having that time in order to do so.
And it's also just like a miserably long game. No, I shouldn't say miserably, because if you love it, it's exactly what you want, right? But I mean, people spend 100 hours on Act 1 of a 3-act game. So that's like, a lot of people don't have 300 hours for a video game. Most I've ever put into a game was 120 hours. That was Tears of the Kingdom. But anyways, that ended the pre-show, which was good. I actually thought for like a pre-show, pretty cool. It's quite a few announcements, pretty quick. I watched the Game Awards. I didn't watch it live. I was busy working that night, but I did watch it after it aired, and I sat through pretty much the whole thing. I had to skip a couple pieces just because it was super late. 3.5 hours starting at 9. Means that you just, I can't even imagine sitting straight. And then if they also have the ads plus the ads that they play there, I would have gone crazy. But they kicked off the actual Game Awards proper with a huge announcement. You want to tell everybody what it is? Do you remember this one off the top of your head?
Which one was that?
Oh, okay. It's
was it Witcher 4?
The Witcher 4, man.
Okay.
Like I didn't know the game that they're making starring Ciri was going to be called The Witcher 4. I thought it might be a different named game. But the fact that they're doing Witcher 4, it's starring Ciri, which, I mean, to be fair, like, she was kind of a big character in Witcher 3. She's pretty much the whole plot of The Witcher 3 is to find Ciri. So, like, it does make sense. It's not like a lot of other games where they maybe will just shoehorn a female protagonist in just because. Like, they've been setting up Ciri to be like this really important character. So I'm pretty stoked, man. I like The Witcher 3 a lot. Witcher 2 was hard to get into, and Witcher 1 I probably only played like an hour of. But Witcher 3, dude, such a good game. Did you ever play any of it?
I have Witcher 3. Yes, I still have that on my Xbox Series X. I still have that on there. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a deep burn for me, but it's of these long-winded RPGs. I did like it. I did love it. It didn't grab me, I think, as much as I wanted it to, but it's something I can go back and probably will go back at some point in time to put more hours into it.
Yeah, it's a crazy game because like I did finish it. It was another like 100 hour game just to finish the main game. And then they released those 2 DLCs. So I did go back, but they released way later. I had already kind of like lost steam. So I've never finished them. I do plan on finishing it. They have a Series X update. It's also cross play and cross transfer between like Steam and all those things. So I can play it on my Steam Deck and my Series X, and it plays pretty well on the Steam Deck. So I've been wanting to get back to it, but it's a commitment, right? Like, you probably spoke about this last week, and they kind of had like a very fun homage to it with Harrison Ford, but Indiana Jones came out, and I've been having a blast playing that, and that's a lot of hours.
As have I.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since it's not going to really be, I think that was one of the things that disappointed me the most about this award show is I feel like Indy, after playing it, it could have been up there as a contender, and because it came out so late, it just didn't get any notoriety, anything besides just them like having Troy Baker, Todd Howard, and Harrison Ford, which was neat. But like that game is good, man, and I'm worried people are going to forget about it or not remember just how great it is.
If only it had come out, as I said already, if only it had come out at the beginning of the Xbox Series S and X life cycle, I think it would have totally changed the perspective of what the console race is now.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really good game, and it's disappointing it didn't, but whatever. I will probably talk about it a few more times, I'm assuming, on the show as we get further in. I just got to Giza. I don't know where you are in the game, but
I'm near there as well. I'm not quite. I'm spending a little bit more time in the Vatican.
Same.
I'm having a lot of fun in the Vatican right now. So just put it that way.
Without spoiling anything, you can go back. So I will say I made a mistake and moved the story ahead unintentionally. You don't need to worry. The game is very, very forgiving. You can just and not go back and save. You can just go back to the previous map and continue on. So if anybody's playing this and worried about it, like I was worried about it too, but yeah, you could just travel almost right after you get to Giza back to Vatican, which is what I've done, and I'm back in the Vatican again, getting more of the stuff. So this is a big one for me. I don't think for you or Josh this matters at all, but Elden Ring, Night Rain, I'm a huge Elden Ring fan.
For me, I'm so intimidated by the Elden Ring, and then of course the DLC Erdtree. Don't even get me started on that again. That was a discussion already for a previous day. If they want to check that out on the show, but yeah, it's now a co-op adventure. I would be more inclined to do because it's a co-op adventure, so I could just make my way through with someone else. Because by myself, this game is very intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, you could play original Elden Ring semi-co-op. It's a pain, but you can do it. It's not like this where it's designed for co-op. There's a few things that I am a bit worried about. It does sound like it might be a roguelike game, which I don't have a huge love for those. But we'll see. So far FromSoft hasn't made a game that I've hated. There's been games that I haven't finished. Like I never finished Sekiro. It's just too hard. And I got to the very end of Dark Souls 3 and didn't finish it. But it's I like all of their games. So I'm going to get this one, even though realistically, as we get older, I don't play co-op games as often anymore. So it's a game that I might just play by myself, same as Elden Ring. Or I might just find randos online to fight the bosses with, which is what I did in Elden Ring. Okay, the next one was a biggie for me. I'm curious if this resonated with you at all. Project Robot. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely, only vaguely, because there's so many that hit me as far as the number of.
It was a lot of announcements. Comparative to previous Game Awards, this I feel like was the most surprise announcements. I feel like maybe they'll have two, a bookend, one at the beginning, one at the end, maybe one in the middle. I feel like that. So the reason why Project Robot is so big is it's the director of The Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, and Eco, an old Sony person who doesn't work for Sony anymore. And they are now working with Epic to make this new Ueda game, right? Which is like a puzzle, artsy, story-based game. They're always very cinematic in style. I didn't play The Last Guardian because I read the critiques, but I'm excited for this because Shadow of the Colossus is one of my all-time favorite PlayStation 2 games. So I'm stoked they announced that. The next one, man, this might be a game. You got some young ones in your house. You might like it. Split Fiction. Do you see that?
That's one of the two. Right there.
Okay.
Split Fiction was one of the two games that I saw that I thoroughly liked. I just absolutely thought this game would be, if given the chance and opportunity, something really out of the box. It comes from the maker of It Takes Two.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to their co-op specialists, so they really know how to create games with co-op in mind. I like the story where it takes the main characters from a fantasy setting to a sci-fi setting, them back and forth and back and forth. The end, almost like a Total Recall type situation where the guy that is the antagonist, and that's I guess running the whole clinic there, that they've got their that they were plugged into whatever imagination things, and now that if they don't get back to the real world before time runs out, the antagonist will win in some form or fashion. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be, for me, something that I might migrate to. I really liked what I saw from it. That's my number two. That was my number two.
Incredibly cool. I think the hard part for me is I didn't play It Takes Two, not because I didn't like it. I didn't have someone to play it with. My wife has no interest in gaming, and I don't know if there's a way to play It Takes Two on your own. I don't think there is. I think they literally designed it expressly with co-op. And it does stink when they make games like that. There's already tons of indies that are made to be played that way. And then they make something like this. I think it looks incredible, but again, I probably will have to skip it because it doesn't look like it looks like what was the other one they made with the two brothers who were both in prison? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna check it out real quick because Two Brothers was the first game, but A Way Out.
Yes. I remember that one. Yes.
And A Way Out looked so cool. I would love to have played it. and I heard it was a lot of fun from my buddy who did play it, but you needed to have a friend to play with for about 4 or 5 hours. And from what I understand, It Takes Two was a 12-hour game. It's hard enough to find 3 hours to play a game with a friend, let alone trying to get like 4 3-hour sessions. But, Split Fiction looked great. They had a bunch of stuff from like the company that makes, what is it called? Not War Gaming that's the name of the company that makes it. They had a game called Steel Hunters that looked neat, but there's that Warframe. They had a lot of Warframe stuff. And then they had what to me was probably the first mega miss of the show. The first thing that I thought was just ultra lame was the Randy Pitchford and Borderlands 4. I felt like that was a game that you could have never shown it to me and not released it, or released it. And I just don't care. I have no interest in Borderlands.
I just think that Borderlands, the IP, was oversaturated over the course of the late teens, the last decade. And I think the reflection of the movie, and then now this says it all. I think it will not meet expectations, both sales-wise and, as far as from an audience standpoint. I think I don't want to say it's destined to fail, but I'm sure 2K is hoping that GTA 6 comes out, especially after the response to Borderlands 4.
Yeah, I feel like it's a story of their own choosing, right? Like they decided to make it this way. I felt like since Borderlands 1, you should be able to create your character, like choose your class, do all that stuff, but they are dead set on making you choose these vault hunters and trying to give them personalities, of which I hate all of them. And like the only good part of that game is the guns and the loot, right? Like that's why people play it. But they seem to think the best part of the game is the comedy and the story, which I don't think anybody thinks that. There might be like a few people on Earth, but I just don't think the majority are like, I'm going to Borderlands for my story. They're going there because it's a fun game to play, and they've made it less fun by forcing all this other, story that you just weren't interested in and characters that you don't want. Like, just let me make who I want to make. Right? Like, but they chose another 4 Vault Hunters, and I just have no interest in any of them. I just don't want to play as them, right? Like, so, and the same thing with 3. I made a character, but I was like, I don't like any of these people. And I didn't like how they played. I feel like they should make that stuff. So anyways, huge loss, especially because like the other human moment where there was a non-Jeff, non-Kojima announcement. Did you see the speech by Amir?
Yes.
That was cool. That was a really cool, emotional, touching moment where this guy who essentially just spent like his free time building a website so people who are in the games industry can find a job after they lose their job. And
he got the Game Changer Award.
Yeah. It's a new thing they created for this Game Awards. It sounds like they're going to try to do it from now on. And honestly, it was a pretty emotional, cool thing, especially because this guy was like a normal random person. He wasn't a developer. He's not an engineer. It didn't seem like, right? He doesn't make games, but he just wanted to help. I haven't looked into the company, but it sounds like it's not for profit. It's pretty cool. I really was happy when I saw that. So you get that, and then like a little bit later, you get Randy Pitchford in like a tone deaf, not funny, not like whatever. Like I don't hate Randy Pitchford like everybody else on the internet does after the child pornography. Was it child pornography? What did he get caught with?
I think what was that within the thumbsticks and all that.
Yeah. So I'm not somebody who's like, oh man, I'll never play his game again. I just think he's a weird, not funny, kind of strange dude. He's a magician. That's like what he's known for. And as somebody who works in that side of the entertainment industry, you meet a lot of those weirdos. He's one of those weirdos, it seems like. Yeah, man. So whatever, Borderlands is gonna exist. Did you play the whatever the tabletop RPG first person one that came out last year? I want to say at the beginning of last year. Tiny Tina.
Yeah, Tiny Tina's. Yeah, I remember that one, but no, I didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have no interest. I saw it for like $10, thinking I'd pick it up at some point, but I didn't, and I won't. They announced Clive Rossfield, which we've actually talked a lot of positive things about Final Fantasy 16 on this podcast in the past. They are bringing him to Tekken 8. It's cool. I didn't play Tekken 8. I think it won Best Fighting Game. It looked really cool. The next thing was one of those games where it didn't speak to me, but it still made me really excited. It was the new Virtua Fighter. That to me is just like, one, it's made by the people who make the not Sleeping Dogs, who make the Yakuza games, the Like a Dragon games. So it's made by RGG Studios. And I don't know, man, they just have a way with games. Like I may play the new Virtua Fighter. And from what I understand, it's a $20 title too. So it's something that like anyone can kind of just pick up and try. So it'll be a budget game. Right after they announced the new Virtua Fighter, which, I mean, it's been a long time since they made one of those. RGG, Ryoga Gotoku, announced a second game, Project Century. What do you think of this
number one? This is number one on my books.
Cool.
We talked about Sifu, that type of environment, as far as, you know, kung fu, martial arts, and beating up opponent after opponent after opponent. This looked great. Fantastic. Easily the best of the VGAs for me.
Yeah, I definitely think it could. I mean, it's hard for me because I have some other ones coming up here that top 5 would be hard to compile, but it's definitely in that top 5. Project Century looks so cool. I'm just hoping it's half as good as it looks, because it reminds me of, did you ever play a game called Sleeping Dogs?
I did.
Yeah, Sleeping Dogs, which was like the third true crime game after they switched from like True Crime LA, True Crime.
I never played all those.
New York. I never played New York, the second one. Was it good?
Yes. New York was okay. LA was better.
Yeah, LA was the first one. I played that. Sleeping Dogs I loved. I had literally just moved back from China. I was living across the border from Hong Kong in a place called Shenzhen. I moved back in July. That game came out in August. And I picked it up, and it was kind of like revisiting the place that I had lived for like a year. And, oh, man, that game's phenomenal. Anyways, Project Century reminds me a lot of that game. I'm hoping it's great. We've got some despised person. Reveal yourself, mystery despised guest.
It is I, the despised one. What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late. Been had some babies to put to bed, you know,
and had some more babies. That's what he's been doing. That's why he's.
But Josh already heard my praise for Project Century as something that unique time period, and the fact that just so reliant on the martial arts. I really am looking forward to that game.
Yeah. So, Josh, what we've discussed, because I one of these I want to hear at least your opinion on, but there's some others. We talked about Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. We talked about Dave the Diver's new thing. We talked about the Sifu. We talked about Witcher 4. We talked about Elden Ring Night Rain, Project Robot. So think about these in case any of these you want to like add remarks to them, and then Split Fiction. But the one that I really want to hear your thoughts of is Borderlands 4, because you're the only person on this podcast I know who likes the Borderlands games. Did this trailer do anything for you?
It's hold on one second. I just need to switch. I'm having audio difficulties. Give me a second.
Okay, this guy, man, he says he's ready. He says
I liked the Borderlands saga when it started out, but
same. I loved Borderlands 1 and 2.
Yeah, it became so samey after a while.
It's the problem was they released tons of DLC for 2, then they released the pre-sequel. And then it was like, they couldn't help themselves, right? And I don't blame them. It was a lot of money. But then they made 3, which was like the same as 2, with just barely like extra stuff added. Anyways, Josh,
okay. I'm here. Sorry. Hey,
4.
Don't be mad. All right. I forgot to switch my headphone port over.
Oh, I love that. I love definitely trying to edit, and I'll just mute you.
Chop the first few seconds there. All right. Borderlands 4. I don't know, man. Like I'm a big fan of Borderlands, as you stated, and it's, I don't know, it looks like more Borderlands. You know, what else is there to say about that franchise? I will go back to it. I didn't really like 3. I don't know if we've talked about that. I wasn't a huge fan of 3. I didn't like how much knowledge you had to have of skill trees, whereas like 2 was a game you just kind of like spread your points out to wherever you want to and play however you wanted to. 3 was you had to be a little more strategic. So I just hope that 4 maybe goes back to what made 2 so great, was that it's not meant for necessarily advanced players. Like an amateur could pick it up and play it and be fine with it. But I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. I don't really know too much about it outside the cool trailer we got to see. So hopefully it's good. I know they gave it to there's a kid, a man who was, I guess, had a terminal illness. I forget what it was, but they let him play it. About that. Yeah, they let him play, and he said it was really great. So I'm optimistic about it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty, like we were talking about. It's not made for me, but I think it was neat, I guess, that they have something for everyone in this Game Awards. About any of those other games, do you have anything you wanted to add, just in case we don't get a chance to revisit, like Split Fiction or the Clive Rossfield coming to Tekken 8 or Project Robot? Any of those things, or Witcher 4?
You already talked about the Naughty Dog game. What's it called?
We haven't. That's the end, man.
He's going in order, Josh.
We're going in order.
Gotcha.
And my list is missing some stuff, so I'm going to bring up a big one right now that is not on my list. That was not an announcement, but it was a big title, and we'll probably have some things to discuss about it. Outer Worlds 2 had an incredible video. A very, very strange thing that Obsidian is releasing Avowed in February, and it sounds like Outer Worlds 2 before the end of the year. And with the Outer Worlds 2 was the logo that it's coming to PlayStation 5 immediately. Since that has been leaked, it sounds like we're at the end of the Xbox exclusive, is what, according to the Microsoft Central rumors or wherever, Jez Corden, who's been very on top of every Microsoft rumor in the past, has said that there are no more Xbox exclusives starting from this point.
This is weird. This is weird to me because it seems like Xbox or Microsoft is buying Sony out without buying Sony out.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre turn of events. Gerald and I discussed real briefly about how good Indiana Jones is and how it literally could have helped shape a different Xbox if it released earlier. And now with it only coming to PlayStation 3 months later, I just don't think anyone's going to be tempted to purchase an Xbox to play it. Like, there's really no good reason to buy an Xbox anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
So yeah, do you guys have any thoughts about Outer Worlds 2? I liked the first one well enough. I fell off like probably 60% of the way through. I don't, I'm excited for 2, I guess, but like I said, I didn't finish the first one, so I don't know totally how
I played a third of it. It was okay for what it was, but I maybe get back into it before Outer Worlds 2. I thought it was solid, but
I think
the fact it's going to PS5 right away, day one, is just what it is at this point in time. I mean, that's the new world for Xbox.
We've talked about this, and I've kind of said this repeatedly, and I do think it's going to come true. I think Sony will also put games on Xbox at some point. Do I think it's going to be the God of Wars and Ghost of Tsushima? No. But I do think they're smaller titles, if they have those anymore. I just don't think we live in an economy anymore where you can just release a game on one console, right? Or even just a console and PC. Maybe they won't bring it to Xbox. If Xbox doesn't exist, maybe they'll just do PC and PlayStation. But at this point, Xbox, I mean, they did that ad at the Game Awards where this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox. And all of them were like a TV, a phone, a controller, a Fire Stick. You know what I mean? Yeah, PlayStation. That would be really funny. They stick a PlayStation in. This is an Xbox. But no, I mean, like, so we are at a weird area where like Microsoft is kind of going through with their original plan, which is Game Pass everywhere. And at that point, what value does the very expensive box have under your computer, under your TV? I'm just hoping that Microsoft doesn't stop making games, period, or consoles, period. Instead, pivots to like PCs that are going to be like something you just put under your TV, right? Like a much more user-friendly gamer PC, like the Steam box.
This reminds me of those, remember At Games used to make those little like USB chips and they come with controllers?
Yep.
That kind of makes me think about where Xbox might be heading.
Yeah, I totally think we're at a weird area where Microsoft is now the biggest third-party publisher in the industry just because of the amount of studios they own. And I feel like if they wanted to, could be the biggest console manufacturer if they were just like, hey, every game's exclusive that we own is exclusive to Xbox. I think day and date you'd see millions of Xbox sold. Like I would be no surprise, but I get it. There's a risk there. There's a huge risk that those people don't come, and I guess they're just not willing for that risk anymore. Okay, the next one kind of caught me off left field. This was not the games that I was super excited for, but it was super funny to see. A new Turok got announced. Turok Origins.
Co-op game, yeah.
It's not even a first-person shooter, though.
Third person, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I
have friends that are huge Turok fans, and it was a letdown for them.
Yeah,
it could be good though. I mean, a game like that in third person, where you need to be more like aware of what's going on around you, could work.
Remember, we've had a co-op dinosaur third person game before. That
did great.
Yeah, that's from what I remember.
What was that game? Capcom made it. It was called
Dino Crisis.
Not Extraction.
No, I remember the game. I forget the name.
Yeah, same. It's funny because it just came out.
Didn't it have the some of the people that made Left 4 Dead from it?
I believe so. Dino Game Xbox, Exoprimal. and I want to say it was part of Game Pass. So like it was something that any of us could have played and nobody turned it. Yeah. I feel bad. I heard it was actually good. I don't care about wave-based shooters. I liked the demo I played of the Turok 360 game. I kind of wish they would just make another like newer version of that, but
there you go.
I don't think they'd make money. So next one's a biggie that none of us play, but they keep putting stuff out for Warframe. They are releasing a 1999 game, Warframe 1999. It looked cool. I mean, the trailer.
That's when the game originally was created.
you could honestly for a minute there, I believed you. Dude, Warframe has been around since the 360. I remember it on the 360.
I used to get the emails, as far as this new game, Warframe. Yes, and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks all right. All right, then then what is it? 2015 came by. Oh, okay, it's starting to age a little bit, but it's still out there making stuff for it. 2020 came by. Oh, okay, it's really starting to look old, but they're making stuff for it. But okay, 2024. All right, still there.
I will say they have done market improvements to the graphics. Is it like a modern like CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk game? No. But I think it looks better. And by the way, earlier on, I said that Warframe was the company that is going to release Steel Hunters. That's Wargaming, the company that did World of Tanks and World of Battleships and stuff. They're doing a mech game that looks like a Transformers game. It looks like better than most Transformers games. Next announcement was Splitgate 2, which is like a arena shooter with portals. Looked cool. I don't think I'll play it. Are you guys gonna dip into that or no?
Probably not. I'll probably forget about it by the time it comes out.
Yeah,
I'll probably forget about it by the time this show ends.
Yeah, it's funny. The Splitgate 1, I think, is out still. I can't remember if they delisted it or whatever, but I played like a little bit of it and it was fun, and I never will turn it on again. It's hard for me to get into multiplayer shooters nowadays. I just don't have the time. But this next one was the first big title that I was very excited for. One of my favorite PlayStation 2 games is getting a sequel, Onimusha, Way of the Sword. That game looks so good. I cannot wait, man. Are you going to at least try this one, Gerald?
This one, no, but there's going to be another one you're going to come up with that's in a similar vein.
Very similar.
That I am going to go ahead and try.
Yeah. So. Again, it's a Capcom game. They're knocking the stuff out of the park with what they've been doing. I feel like Capcom has just been blowing me away. And Onimusha had that remake that came out probably 2-3 years ago on Xbox One. Yeah. So the new one looks incredible, man. I cannot wait for Onimusha Way of the Sword.
But as we talked about with all these remakes or these homages to previous games, even the Turok games, if they're smart and they keep the costs low, then they're less risky and they're basically just, again, fan servicing the gamers out there. Which is
well, let me ask you a question. So a game like Onimusha, the last one I played was on PS2. Were there any more after that?
They had 3 PS2 games, but they didn't release any besides the remake, the recent remaster they released maybe like 3-4 years ago on Switch and on Xbox and PlayStation. So, but yeah.
Do you think a game like that has been dormant? That franchise has been dormant for so long, they might as well just make a remake of it to get people interested again?
They could, but this isn't a remake. If you look, I don't even think it's Semenosuke. That was like a famous actor, the guy they originally had for the first Onimusha. I think what's happening is that RE engine they've made is so powerful and so good. They're just using it to make games, and it's actually lower cost. Because, I mean, think about how quick they pump out RE games. They're very good at efficiency. And I do think we're at the point of diminishing returns for Resident Evil remakes. So they're probably going back to some of the well and seeing what they can release, remake, create a new one. Because we are at a point like RE5 is not going to be very exciting. They don't want to do RE1 right now for some odd reason. And I don't even think you can ever remake RE6. So what is that remake team doing? They got to be working on a game too.
Yeah.
Next big title, and I don't know if either of you played this. I feel like you might have, Josh. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. They're making another Sonic Racing.
That's the original one released on the Wii, didn't it?
360 and Wii, I think too. But yes, those games are supposed to be really good. Did you guys play them?
Yeah, I played the one on the Wii. It was fun. I mean, I like those kart racers though. Like I always really loved the Crash Bandicoot games and the what was it called? Was that one for PlayStation 3, the Mod Racer or no? Yeah, is that
You're
what it
talking
was?
about All Stars Racing Transformed? Oh, you're talking about
Ye
Mod Racers. No, you're talking about the Little Big Planet creators
Yeah,
game they
yeah.
made. Yeah, Mod
Yeah, so
Racer.
I always really liked those kart games. I thought that the Sonic one wasn't bad. So maybe I guess if this was a
Mod Nation
actually
Racers.
Mod Nation Race, yeah. Honestly, I probably won't buy this if it was on Games Pass. I'd probably play it though.
Yeah, it's a interesting title. I'm glad they're doing it. I know, Gerald, you don't have much more time left on this podcast, so I'm going to let you choose. There's 3 big titles left to discuss. I won't reveal all of their names, but I will say one is a White Wolf, one is about forget about it, just forget about it, and the other is taking place in space. Which of those 3 are you most interested in talking about?
Well, I think despite what I think about the White Wolf one, which I told you earlier, I think that we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Intergalactic.
We got to.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew that their Naughty Dog was going to release something as far as what their next game and project would be. It had been rumored to be a sci-fi game, and yeah.
What do you think? You're not you don't love the vibe or the way it's set up?
I wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting the vibe very good. I mean, Naughty Dog in 2007 came out with another funky name game called Uncharted: Drake's Fortune, and right off the get-go, I was hooked. I did a massive as far as campaign up my store that I was running, and absolutely got a lot of people tied in. I still have some of the memorabilia from it today here in my office. I don't expect to be doing the same for Intergalactic. It just didn't hook me yet, but I have faith Naughty Dog will hook me before the game comes out.
So, Josh, I got to ask you then, because you're a big Cowboy Bebop fan. What do you think of Intergalactic?
Okay, so I have an issue with the I guess the protagonist, not for the reason everybody else does, but to me the protagonist comes across as boring. You know, there's not like what Cowboy Bebop, right? What makes Spike Spiegel so great is that he's cool, right? And same thing with like Mass Effect. You have Commander Shepard who just look he's mysterious. Like this one, the protagonist doesn't have me excited. And
yeah, it's a very popular new character trope to have a female like empowered leader be a badass B-word. You know, that's kind of the vibe that she gives off. I don't want to derail you, but I have to say then I'm the hot one on this podcast. I loved Last of Us Part 2, one of my favorite games ever. And I am kind of digging the retro 80s sci-fi aesthetic. Now, do I think they're going to stick with that? Probably not. My guess is once you get into the game, it's going to be pretty linear or story-based. Maybe it'll be open world, but I don't think you're going to be doing bounties in space, which is what I would love. I want a Cowboy Bebop where you're going between planets and doing bounties.
Yeah, that would be cool, but also like soundtrack wise, you know, like Naughty Dog does good soundtracks, but this game I don't know enough about this game to say whether or not it's going to be great. Like they showed a little bit of the planet, like it looks like it's but it doesn't even have like that Western edge to it, you know, like most bounty hunting games do. So I really don't know at this point. I trust Naughty Dog to do what Naughty Dog does, which is make okay games, but also I'm fearing an Anthem happening here.
Yeah, I mean it totally has the potential to be a bad game, right? Like I'm not going to discount that. It's very likely. When they showed the one scene with her running at the sword at the enemy, I'm like, how is this even going to work? Because that's not the way most games work. You can't have that type of control over your character because the animations would be difficult to move. So it's like, and then, you know, a lot of the vibes I got too were Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, and I'm tired of that. I mean, we saw it with Concord. We saw it with Guardians of the Galaxy. That stuff is tiring. I just want a Cowboy Bebop game, and this seems like it could be the closest. But the thing that makes me disappointed is I believe the description for the game is it takes place on one planet. So it's not going to be like a planet hopping game. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe the description came out that all of it takes place on one planet. So at that point, it's like, why are you even doing a space game then? You know, stuff like that to me is less exciting where it's like, hey, I have a game in space. Really? Oh, you're traveling all over? No.
So I guess it's not technically a space game. It's more like where Halo, the premise, the beginning of it takes place in space, but for the most part, you're just on one single place.
Yeah, and that's why we call those games like sci-fi, right? Like I wouldn't say that there's an intergalactic travel in the Halo series, even though you will go from like ships to the planet and stuff. And I know, Gerald, that you got to leave on us very soon. Is there anything else you want to add about the Game Awards?
Well, Okami 2, obviously.
Yes. That was one we didn't talk about. White Wolf. Very
Yep.
exciting.
Very exciting to select few that actually played the game when it came out on the Wii. And then, of course, Mafia. What did we say was the undiscovered country, to go use the Star Trek vernacular, Josh, on the other day we talked about it.
Right, yep.
My question is, okay, yeah, it has a very old school Godfather 1 type feel, but what is it going to give you enough gameplay to keep you invested in the game, or is it just going to go to conversation, making a deal, what have you? How is it going to keep the player involved and interested in the game? And before I head on out, guys, what about our predictions on the VGAs?
All right, it's funny you ask, because I just totaled them up. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Gerald, actually, I'm going to start. Brank, you got 7 right.
Whoa, was that the highest or the lowest?
Well, you and I are tied. Okay. I also got 7 right.
Oh.
Gerald got 11 right.
Whoa. What did Gerald say? Astrobot was the winner, or what did you get? What did Gerald? Do we know? I mean, do we have time for?
So
I'll give you a couple minutes. We'll give it a couple minutes. Go for it.
Okay. All right. So here, here we go. Most anticipated game, we all got correct. That's Grand Theft Auto. Mm-hmm. Best adaptation, we all got correct. That was Fallout. Best multiplayer game, we all got wrong. It was actually Helldivers.
Okay.
Best sports and racing game, Branky Poo, that was you. Best sim and strategy game, we all got wrong. I don't remember what the.
How did I get 11 right then?
Best family game, we all got correct.
Okay.
Best fighting game, Branky Poo, you got it. Best RPG, Gerald got it.
Okay.
Best action game, we all got it, and that was Astrobot.
Okay.
Or sorry, action adventure game. Best action game, me and Gerald got right with Black Myth Wukong.
Okay.
Best new indie game, Gerald got with Balatro.
Oh, okay. That's why he's getting 11.
Best indie game, Gerald also got, was also Balatro.
Whoa. That's crazy. They gave 2 to Balatro. Anyways, go ahead, because I forgot.
Yeah, I think
Well, it was nominated for Game of the Year. There's no way it was losing. No way it was losing.
So best performance, me and Gerald got with Senua Saga, Hellblade 2. Best audio design, Gerald got with Senua's Sacrifice. Best score and soundtrack, we all got with Final Fantasy Rebirth. Best art direction was Astrobot. That was me and Gerald. Best narrative was none of us got that one right. Best game direction was Astrobot. So that's Brank and Gerald. And the game of the year was me and Gerald.
Wow. What did I say for game of the year? Do you remember?
Game of the year, you said Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Man, I wished it was that. I love Astrobot. Honestly, I just played the new DLC. They just added a new level. Super fun.
Yeah, is it good?
Super great. It's about like 15 minutes of fun, but it is so much fun. It's free. It's just like something they added. That game is a gift that doesn't stop giving. Easily top 5 this year. Might be my favorite game. I'm still trying to figure that out.
You know what's funny? I keep hearing people go, yeah, but it's not, as far as like platformers go, it's no Mario, but like it doesn't have to be a Mario. I honestly think there's some aspects of this game that are a lot more fun than, I had with Odyssey. Not everything, but there are some things about it that are a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. For me, Mario Odyssey is easily, like, if we have to compare them 1-to-1, it's my preferred game, Mario Odyssey. I've replayed that game 3 times or so at this point. Obviously, Astrobot just came out in September, so I haven't replayed it yet. But Astrobot is phenomenal. It is easily the best non-Nintendo platformer ever made. Like, I don't even think there's anything even close. And it is Mario quality, if not like upper echelon of Mario quality.
But is it the game of the year? We're gonna have.
I mean, for me, like Rebirth is just phenomenal.
Well, wait. We'll see on our next show.
So hold on, let me let me talk to you guys about the game of the year at the Game Awards here.
Okay.
Look at the games. You have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Refantasio. How many of these games of the 6 nominated is your average Joe gamer going to go out and play?
I mean, the majority is not going to play many of these games, right? Like this is a critics-based award. The biggest game on there was Black Myth Wukong in terms of sales by like a huge margin, not even like a close one because of the Chinese sales. And all of that, we probably won't get a chance to talk about that controversy, but there was a lot of stuff that came out, and then there was a lot of stuff that came out rebutting the stuff that came out. So Black Myth Wukong stuff's a mess. We might have to have a separate episode if we ever want to delve into that. But yeah, man, I think most of these games like Balatro it's available on everything. It sold a lot of copies, but it's poker, right? Like it's a great game, but it's poker.
Yeah. I agree. And sorry. Yeah, I mean, I agree. So you have a lot of the games that have won are games that, are more accessible for everybody, not just fans of certain types of games. So I think that's what really gave Balatro and, Astrobot a leg up in this competition.
Yeah, and you got to remember that the biggest percentage of voting comes from gaming outlets, right? Like media gaming outlets. And almost all of them unanimously loved Astrobot, whereas like Rebirth had quite a few negative critical reviews. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's probably about 2 or 3 of them where like, I only played the first zone. I don't want to play anymore, right? And some of those people were like, oh, I love Final Fantasy VII. I love Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? We talked about this on the show. I loved Rebirth. I did not like Remake, right? So it's like, it's a definitely interesting thing. So you got Astrobot. Metaphor is a very niche game. Very, very niche.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But Gerald, do you have anything you want to add before we're probably going to do a little bit indie talk when you leave for just a short moment?
Well, I'll try to shut down the stream from remote.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Can you? I forgot. Okay.
I think I could do that. Yeah, I think I could do that, guys. No worries. Okay. So I will just say this before I head on out. That I'm gonna pat myself on the back one more time.
Yeah, I know you won, man.
Yeah, well done.
There you go. I'll see you guys for the Game of the Year talk coming up soon.
Yes.
Sorry. See you guys.
All right.
Real quick, Janky, because we didn't talk about any of the games we played because the Game Awards had so much to discuss. We probably won't get to do any Christmas memories today. I know that was something Gerald and you want to discuss, and I'm definitely down to try to get some of those Christmas memories in. But have you been gaming at all recently?
I have. So I played. I've been playing some more Visions of Mana. When I can. Did a little bit on. Played Indiana Jones. All right. Really? Yeah. Okay. Indiana Jones. I gotta talk about this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I like it. I like the game. I like it a lot, but it is very repetitive, and I think that's the one thing. Well, it's just punch, wander around complex, punch. It's got a little bit of repetitiveness to it. I do like that you can pick up a lot of stuff and hit people with it, and maybe I'm just not far. I'm 2 hours into the game, so maybe I'm not far enough in to really like get the gist of it. But it's got some
the
elements.
Vatican yet or no?
So I am right now. The second part you go to where you don't do not the Temple of Doom, not the school, but the thing after that where you're in like the Holy City and you're wandering around Okay. Yeah, I'm there, and I've been wandering around that place for a long time. Like it's taken me a while to figure out like exactly where I'm supposed to go.
Have you met Father Antonio yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so the game opens up a ton once you meet him. I will say it starts out like, even though I liked the beginning, I will say it was way weaker. The further I played, the more I like it. But if you're struggling with like where to go, what to do, you can turn on a waypoint in the settings. That will show you on your screen where to go next. And if you don't want to engage, like once you get to the next section, you can start like kind of upgrading your character. There's a lot more. The game like opens up a lot more. But if you were like, hey, I don't really care about that, I just want to mainline it, and it seems like it's a big game, right? Like I just got to the second zone and I'm still kind of doing stuff in the first one. But the thing that I like the most is it's essentially an open world puzzle game with some stealth and combat. And I feel like the story elements are really good. The tombs, like all that stuff is very, very cool. I really, really dig it. I don't think it's the best game ever, but I definitely think it's like a top 5 for this year for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I like it. It just has some repetitive elements to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah, and you're right to feel that way, but I feel like so many games are repetitive that this to me felt like a breath of fresh air. Only because there's repetitive elements inside of it, but it's just so different. It's essentially like a marriage of like games like Prey and immersive Sims, where you go around wherever you want, and a first-person shooter narrative game. Because like you could still pick up stuff, you read the letters, you can turn them over, see if there's stuff on the back, use those clues to solve puzzles. But at the same time, you could just like go in there and whack people, right? With like a candelabra or something. You can pick up something on the ground. Dude, I'm digging it. Have you been playing anything else?
No, that's
okay.
Actually, I went back and played a little bit of a little more Pal World, just trying to see if I still I still want to play it. I do. I would like to go back and finish like the little they're not gyms, but the little boss challenges. I've beaten 4 of them so far.
Oh,
so
wow, you got far, man. I didn't fight any of them yet. I did like the game, but I feel like with most survival games, it's so hard to progress very far that like I didn't get very far in it.
Yeah, well, the issue with Power World, and not issue necessarily, but like you get so caught up in all the other survival mechanics, right? Like you're like, oh, hey, I can build a house that's 20 stories up in the air. Let's see how long it would take me to do this. Or I can, I want to unlock more stuff for my pals to do around around the house, and while I go exploring. So there's a bunch of other things that kind of distracts you from the main point of the game. So I do want to go back and play the game, to the end before, on the off chance that it does get taken down.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I thought you wanted to just do it for like game of the year stuff. That's funny. You're thinking about it potentially being taken down. I don't think it will, even though Nintendo's trying to create that crazy lawsuit. But who knows? I could be wrong. It would be very, very crazy if they were able to pull it down at this point. But yeah, man. The other thing I played, the Astrobot level. That level is just phenomenal. It's a Christmas themed level. It's so much fun. Okay. It is just a ton of fun, man. It's everything good about that game. So like the more that I think about it, like I just kind of want to replay it again. I might just start the game over again from scratch soon, just because like I liked it so much and I 100%ed it, so I got every single thing. Did you ever finish that last level, the get good one, the one that's like crazy hard?
Okay, so I finished the game. Was there what?
You have to get every single bot plus every puzzle piece.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that one yet.
Oh, okay. Whenever you get through that, it's there's a very difficult level that I'm curious if you'll have the time to finish, right? I don't want to say the patience, but the time, because it took me probably a good hour and a half straight to beat it. And it's not like a level where you make any progress. You have to finish it all in one go.
So with that game, it's weird because they have a lot of like the bonus levels, where you do like the quick runs. They have the like the speed run levels. A lot of those I got to the point where like I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go back and do this at some point, and then I go back and do it, but I would fail so many times that an entire hour would go by and I still would not have finished this level that should take. If I had any skill, in this game, it'd take me like 30 seconds. So I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, right, get good. But also, do I have another 3 hours to, it doesn't seem like 3 hours, but do I really have that kind of time on my hand to go back and try to, beat these games? But
so I don't want to discourage you, but I will say I only struggle with like 1 or 2 of those levels.
Yeah.
And this last one is way harder than any of those combined, right? Like I spent so much time on it. But this Christmas themed level is not hard. It's not hard at all. You don't die at all. It's just a fun level. It's not a speed run challenge. It's kind of like almost like a collectathon level. So it's like you collect a bunch of really fun bots that I want you to play so we can like spoil on this podcast because they are that much fun to get them. Okay. But yeah, so I did that. Obviously, Indiana Jones has been what I've been mostly playing. I've been still dipping into Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I haven't finished or even gone back to the single player for a long time. I need to do that because it's a really good single player, but the multiplayer is so good that I just kind of turn it on. Since we've been on this podcast, because I haven't got to record for a bit with you guys, I picked up the 2 terabyte Xbox SSD internal drive, so I finally don't have to juggle games as much on my Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm pretty stoked.
Nice.
Yeah, I am stoked to not have to be like, oh, can I download this? So I now have Stalker 2 on my Xbox, so I might try to turn that on soon.
Oh, okay, you haven't played it.
I haven't turned it. Yeah,
I was curious.
Yeah, I wanted to, but like Indie's also 150 gigs, right? So like I'm kind of like I should turn it on, but I've also been playing just like so much Indie, and I do want to finish it. Indie's a game I could see myself buying if God forbid, but if Xbox ever goes under, right, and there's no more Xbox, I could see myself paying for Indie to buy it. It's a good game.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm digging it so far. I gotta I think I need over the oh my gosh. Over the holidays, I gotta
trying to kill you.
Right. Over the holidays, I think I gotta sit down and invest some more time into it.
I would say if you're struggling, turn on the waypoint, man. Like just do turn it on and just follow the main path to get somewhere and then decide what you want to do. For me, like I've loved kind of exploring randomly, but where I'm at in the Vatican now, I've had to look up stuff online because I want to get these extra progression element things. And it's like, where are they? And I can't find them, even though I can see them on the map. You can buy these map markers that you can put on your map. So yeah, man, I mean, just keep at it. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for us to do Game of the Year. I'm excited for us to talk about some Christmas memories. We'll see if we get a chance to discuss any of the other crazy game news, man. I mean, we got to discuss like Xbox probably getting out of exclusivity. We haven't talked about the Dragon Age Veilguard sales, which are pretty much non-existent. It's just been a weird year, man. The Black Myth Wukong stuff is crazy because like a lot of people, I guess, said that the director cried at the Game Awards, and then it was found out that wasn't true at all. So it's a really, really bizarre turn of events as to what's been going on in gaming. And I feel like so much has been happening that I'm curious what things look like by January, because we still don't even have a Switch 2. Anything.
Yeah, I expected some sort of announcement by now.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get one before the end of the year, but now it's looking like probably January, February at the earliest. Who knows when the console's coming out? Yeah. And we haven't really ever talked about but the PS5 Pro, I believe, is just a complete flop. I haven't heard about it. Once
for sure.
Since
Yeah,
it released.
Haven't heard, and even some of these publications have been rating it very high. So I assume that people weren't really and they're readily available. I mean, you go to Target. I went to Target today, and they had a couple there. So I doubt.
So you bought a couple.
I bought all of them. I said I'll take them. But no, I mean, it just kind of made me doubt whether or not people are actually buying them and playing with them.
It was unnecessary and incredibly expensive in a world where things are so expensive that people are having to make difficult decisions. And I just think that level of gaming decision is hard when you're getting closer and closer to buying the PC, right? Buying the thing that can play 10 times the amount of games and have the library that your consoles just won't have. Right. Anything else you want to add before we probably hit the road for the day?
No, not that I can think of. I am keeping track of my Game of the Year stuff, so we'll have to get that episode nailed down here soon.
Well, we are probably going to to be leaving. So yeah, we're texting Gerald that we are finished, and we enjoyed talking with you guys. This is our best outro ever. Mainly because we have control over everything. We love outros like this. This is the type of outro that we love. Okay, so hope you guys know that.
Rambled.
But we will probably just allow you all to sit here in silence, which is what you deserve for not giving us Christmas gifts, while we leave and go party hard without you
Fair
guys.
Enough. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it was good talking to you, man.
Peace.
Bye.
BS.